and welcome to the celebration space. My name is Kaylee Phelps, and today we are talking about 5 easy principles of feng shui that you can incorporate into your home today, which is really exciting. I want to point out that I am not certified in feng shui. I grew up, I learned a lot of these principles, little tips and tricks from my mom growing up, who I learned a lot about. I think we all learn kind of our basics of organization and home decor from where we grew up. So I can attribute a lot of these things that I have learned from my mom. And I've done a little bit more digging, and I've just been really interested in feng shui, especially since I went to college. So I really wanted to learn more about balancing and harmonizing with my environment. So I'm just gonna dive into talking a little bit about feng shui. I have a few notes, I hope y'all don't mind. But basically, feng shui is also called Chinese geomancy. So I hadn't heard of that word, which basically means that you are placing items to bring good things into your life. And it's all about harmonizing yourself with your environment. So it actually translates, which I didn't realize this, but to wind, water in English. So that's especially important, and we're gonna talk about 5 principles, but that is especially important because really it's a lot about the chi in your life, so a lot about the energy, which chi is kind of a little bit ambiguous in terms of what it means. It's really just like good, positive energy and how it flows through your home. So the wind and the water represents all 5 elements we'll talk about in a little bit. But really, water represents abundance in feng shui. So wind and water are important because it's the flow of abundance through your home. So that's going to be important to factor in. And I wanted to talk about the Bagua map, which is something a little bit new to me. I'm excited to actually kind of analyze my own home through the Bagua map. But basically, it's 8 areas of your home, and each of the areas represent an element, a number, and let me check my notes, and a shape and a color. And the Bagua is supposed to be in the middle of the map, represent the heart of the home. And I'll tell you the 8 areas, and then we'll kind of dive into the principles that I know a little bit more about and that I have concrete examples of. So the 8 areas are family, wealth, health, helpful people, children, partnership, knowledge, fame, or your reputation, and then career. So all of those different things you can balance with different principles throughout your home. And I'm gonna start out with positioning in your home. So being in a commanding position, really what that means is that's where you spend most of your time in a room. So for this room, it's actually my couch where I'm sitting. I decided to switch it up. I've been sitting at the dining room table quite a bit this week. So the commanding position is where you spend most of your time in a certain room, and it's also supposed to be where you can really see the front door or see the doors in the room so that you're in a little bit more control, and so that you can be more in view of the flow of energy in that room. So one of the biggest things that you'll hear about with this is really with your bed. So your bed, you're supposed to be able to view the door from where you would be in a seated position and be able to see the flow of energy. This is also something important with a desk in an office. So being able to see the door and being in that commanding position. So along with positioning, I also want to talk about flow. So the flow of energy, a lot of people use their back door or a side door to come into their home, and actually the front door of your home represents where most of the good things come through. So especially our front doors are normally on a front-facing street where there's a lot of energy flow that's coming from the rest of the world. So a lot of people keep that front door closed. So even growing up, we didn't necessarily necessarily use the front door to come through quite a bit, but we had a glass door, storm door, that my mom would just open the wooden door so that you could see through it and you could see the street. And that's really going to open up and have it be more welcoming and represent that you are open to good things coming your way. And the more you can use the front door, especially when you're bringing things of abundance. So if you're coming in with groceries, or if you're bringing in, coming and going from work, something where you're bringing in abundance, that's really going to open yourself up to more of that good energy. And then a couple of things that are energy sucks that I'll kind of talk about. I don't like using that word. I'm not saying it in terms of like stupid, but things that absorb energy in feng shui are toilets. So that is, as I mentioned, water represents abundance and wealth. So anytime water is being taken away from your home, that represents taking away that energy. So the bathroom is really a place where you, a lot of Chinese homes, if you have any Chinese friends or family, you might realize that they keep the toilet shut and normally the bathroom door is closed. So I keep our toilets shut mostly because my mom practiced this in feng shui, keeping that shut just because it represents an energy kind of portal taking away. But also we have a naughty kitten that will jump into the toilet if the toilet seat is open. So that is something where we normally keep that shut. We don't keep the doors closed, but that is just kind of a way to look at something where there is an energy portal where it's taking away some of that abundance in that symbolism in feng shui. I also didn't say that this is a pseudoscience. Of course, this is an ancient practice. This is not super scientific or it's exactly what's going to happen in your home. It's all representative of different things. So please take this with a grain of salt, do your own research. But also another energy kind of warp or suck is going to be electronics. So this is especially prevalent if you have a TV in your room or any kind of big electronics in your room. That's something that a lot of feng shui practitioners recommend that you actually cover the TV while you're sleeping because it's actually going to suck your energy and suck the energy of the room away. Also, other things in your bedroom that you might want to be aware of, including, I talked about the positioning of your bed, but also having plants in your room is actually going to bring a lot of good positive energy. It's living energy. So it actually, those are great to have from an oxygen standpoint, but putting them outside of the bedroom when you're sleeping is helpful just because they're going to keep you awake with that alive energy. So taking electronics out or trying to cover them and then having plants might keep you awake. So taking those out as well, things that are going to affect you while you sleep. So also I wanted to talk about balance. I actually just posted a video about Ayurveda, which is another ancient pseudoscience of balancing your body and your mind with the elements. And in feng shui, I almost said Ayurveda, but in feng shui, there's actually 5 elements and they represent different things. Like I said in the Bagua map, each different area of the home has different elements that correspond with it and numbers and shapes and colors. So you can check that out for yourself. But on a very basic level, you want to balance the 5 elements. So they are earth, wood, fire, water, and metal. So you want to balance all 5 of those in your decor. So just kind of right here, right now, you can see I have metal behind me. You can see I have my wood right there. And, I have a lot of different things. I have a lot of stones or different things that represent earth. I have actual stones from the beach and different elements. I like to use things from outside. I have driftwood in the house, different things. So really balancing those. I love to burn candles, taking baths, they recommend mirrors actually represent water just because it's a reflective source. And then also having things like a little aquarium or seeing water out your window, being close to water, or having a little fountain also is going to represent water in that way. So just looking at the 5 different elements and how they might be represented in your home and how you might be able to incorporate different elements into your decor to balance out those 5 elements. And if you want to get really into the nitty-gritty, like I said, check out the Bagua map and try to correspond those colors and elements with the 8 different areas of the home. So I also wanted to talk about light and water. So I talked about water being, all 5 elements are really important to feng shui, but water is one of the biggest ones just because it represents that abundance and wealth coming and going from your home. So having mirrors is really important to feng shui because it represents water. And I was doing a bunch of different research, and I'm going to cite all of these articles in my own blog post that I write later on this subject, but I saw something funny where a feng shui practitioner said that mirrors are kind of like the aspirin of feng shui, where they're used to treat a number of different ailments in your home where you're representing bringing in water. You're also reflecting light. So something that's important to feng shui is having clarity, having light being brought into your home. So opening up those windows, cleaning them so that you can have more energy coming into your home from the outside. So speaking of cleansing and things coming in from the outside, a big thing with, like I said, feng shui like literally translates to wind and water. So the energy coming through your home, if you have, people come through the front door, you want to keep that really clear because you don't want any impediments to the flow of the energy coming into your home. Similarly, we'll go back to the bed. It's one of the places where we spend most of our time in our homes during normal life, not in a global pandemic. We're all spending time at home now, but you spend 8 hours a day out of your 24 in that space. So not having things under your bed, or if you have things under your bed, having them be softer items where energy can kind of go through them more easily, but keeping that as clear as you can. And really trying to avoid stagnation. So anything that is considered stagnant, you want to kind of uplift that space so that the energy is flowing through your home and the abundance is flowing through your home more easily. So one of the examples of this is in feng shui. They talk a lot about places where you might never look or you might never really have interaction with. So if you have space above your cabinets and that's where some dust collects and there's stagnant energy up there, adding plants up there to bring lively energy is a tactic that you can use. Like I said, under the bed, keeping that as clear as possible and really trying to keep as many things in their own space so that there is a clear flow of energy, especially to the front door where you're receiving a lot of that. So beyond that, also you want to make sure feng shui is not necessarily about being, specific decor to make it nice. It's not about being perfectly organized. It's really about creating space in your home for that energy to flow and making it harmonious with the elements in nature and with yourself. So something that I always think about is you don't need to, just because you have the space doesn't mean that you need to pack it to the brim. So utilizing your space, but also leaving space for energy to flow and to have things come into your life, good things come into your life. So getting really organized as far as having items in certain places and leaving spaces within that is going to be really in line with feng shui. And that is really my 5 principles and just a couple of different things. We talked about the kitchen, we talked about the bedroom, we talked about the front door, we talked about the elements, we talked about the Bagua map. So those are the biggest things that I have and ways that I practice feng shui in my home. I will do a little bit more research and see what else I can find out or, kind of adjust in my home based on what I see in the Bagua map. and just kind of doing a little bit more analyzing. I really geek out about this stuff, and I hope that after watching this you might find it interesting as well. And I really appreciate you watching. Please check out the blog, check out any recommended products on the shop page on thecelebrationspace.com, subscribe on YouTube, do all the things, you know what to do, and until next time, enjoy celebrating today.